This video is brought to you by AmerUSA.com, where you can screen tenants 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In this episode, we will be discussing Illinois landlord tenant laws. The following is a summary of landlord tenant laws in the state of Illinois as they apply to residential rental property. Topics include disclosures, withholding rent, the right to enter, security deposits, eviction, increasing rent, and more. Required disclosures. Utilities. Where tenants pay a portion of a master metered utility, the landlord must give each tenant a copy of the formula in writing, either as part of the lease or another agreement that's used by the landlord for allocating the public utility payments among all of the tenants. Rent concessions. Any rent concessions must be described in the lease in letters not less than 1/2 inch in height, consisting of the words concession granted, including a memorandum on the margin or across the face of the lease stating the amount or extent and nature of each such concession. Failure to comply is a misdemeanor. Radon. If a landlord or tenant tests and learns that a radon hazard is present in the dwelling unit, the landlord must disclose this information to current and prospective tenants. These requirements do not apply if the dwelling unit is on the 3rd or higher story above ground level, or when the landlord has undertaken mitigation work and a subsequent test shows that a radon hazard does not exist. Security deposit limit. There is no state statutory limit on security deposits. However, if the landlord collects one and rents out 25 or more units in either a single building or a complex located on contiguous properties, interest must be paid on deposits held for more than 6 months. Deadline for returning a security deposit. For properties with 5 or more units, the security deposit must be returned within 30 days after the tenant moves out if there are no deductions. If there are deductions taken, the landlord has up to 45 days to issue any remaining funds along with an itemized statement and receipts. Late fees. Rent is legally due on the date specified in a lease agreement. There's no state statute addressing late fees, so in order to charge one, it must be written into the lease agreement. Increasing rent. On a month-to-month lease, a landlord must give tenants at least a 30-day written notice to raise rent or change another term. Longer lease agreements cannot be increased unless the agreement itself specifically addresses raising the rent. Withholding rent. A tenant may exercise the right to hire a professional to fix a problem and deduct the cost of the repair if the landlord fails to act within 14 days. Before exercising the right to withhold rent, written notice must be given to the landlord, allowing 14 days to resolve the problem unless it's an emergency, which may be reasonably sooner. The maximum repair limit is $500 or half the monthly rent, whichever is less. Terminating tenancy and eviction. A 10-day unconditional quit notice to vacate or face eviction may be provided to a tenant who doesn't abide by any term of the lease. A 5-day unconditional quit notice may be used for unlawful use or sale of any controlled substance. The right to enter. Although the state doesn't address a particular amount of time, a landlord should provide the tenant a 2-day notice of entry before being permitted inside the unit. A tenant cannot unreasonably withhold access during reasonable hours. For more information, additional laws and articles can be found at AmericanLandlord.com.